how sweet it is, my dear ones, where we all gather together under one common purpose, to know something greater than ourselves, to experience more fully, perhaps, what we just dream about, and get a little taste of that more in a palpable way. And that happens when we come with open minds and open hearts, and are ready for something new and deep, but something that is new only in the sense of recognition, something we've known all of the time. And so we look at this thing called remembrance, and oh my goodness, what a very auspicious weekend this is. Began on Friday, and the celebration of the weekend of the celebration of ancestors, the Day of the Dead. Today actually is the Day of the Dead, or the Day of the Ancestors, and it's not really about the dead at all. It's very much about the living. It's very much about ongoing life and acknowledging the presence of our loved ones in a new and different way. And so, of course, in between that, we had All Hallows, the night of Halloween, when we are told the veil between the two realms is the thinnest of all. And then that's followed by yesterday being the Feast of All Souls, and today being the Feast of All Saints. So I'm telling you, this is a very powerful, potent weekend. It's a very powerful time. And all over the world, thousands and thousands and millions of people are showing up in prayerful pose and entering into all kinds of wonderful spiritual rituals. And we are part of that as we move in our own experience here. So as we honor in our day here our loved ones who have gone before us, and we honor the ongoingness of life through our remembrance of ancestors and all of those who have fashioned and formed us and brought us to this point in our lives, without whom we couldn't be ourselves as we know ourselves. We're asked to think about remembering what is truly significant and important in our lives. And so one of those seminal things is the fact that each one of us is made in the image and likeness of our Creator. And I wonder how often we remember that. I just wonder how often we remember that we are fashioned and formed and molded into a form that is the image and the likeness of that which formed it, the Creator of all life, life itself, light itself, and love itself. And that's why we are vessels of light. We're made of stardust, light dust. And this is something we're called to remember today and this week, as this weekend, so auspiciously spiritual all over, opens up a whole new cycle for us to enter into, a cycle of ponderance and contemplation and quietness and darkness, and the deepening of that opportunity to re-enter the womb of life, where it is peaceful and quiet and dim and dark, wherein we have the ideal ingredients necessary for contemplation and revelation as we leave autumn and enter into the winter cycle of nature and of our lives. And so when we look at this thing called the image and likeness of our Creator, what does that look like to you? What does it look like to me right now? How are we imaging our Creator right now? How do we image? What is that likeness in us that could be recognized as the divine? That's the question for us to ponder today and this week, this coming week. And it's a huge question. It's huge, my goodness me. It's enough to knock us off our seats, really, knock us off our feet if we take that seriously. And in looking at that, what was coming to me as I retired to, as I always do on a Saturday night, into the stillness, into the quietness, having done the reading, the study, the contemplation, and then going into the quietness to see what is revealed out of all of that for each and every one of us for today, the question that arose was not so much a question, but a remembrance of a command. And the command was from the great master teacher the Christed Jesus, and it was the command of go and do likewise. And I've heard that many, many, many times, but it really knocked me off my seat when I heard it last night. Woo, 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 that kind of thing. And so I looked at it, and it was the most terrifying and stupendous thing to look into and look at. Why? Because I had to ask myself, well, what was I supposed to go and do likewise about? And it was... it came out of the question of, yes, I do great things, but greater things you too can do than I have done, the divine Christed one is saying. And later, then it follows, go and do likewise. Now that's a command. That's a direct command. And it wouldn't be given if you couldn't do this and if I couldn't do this. And then the question, well, what am I supposed to go and do? Oh my, the answer is not something that's going to have us all jumping up and down and whooping about and hollering about and say, Eureka, I found it. You know, this is the only thing I need to know. Love God, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, that's doable. But then when the command goes further to do likewise and goes into love those who hate you, pray for those who persecute you, and all those who despise you and despitefully use you. Not so hotsy-totsy when it comes to that part of it. Did okay with the love God and love your neighbor as you love yourself. But the command ringing in your ears from within yourself saying, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who persecute and calumniate you, lovely word, despitefully use you, is a whole different ballgame. And yet that's the command. Do likewise. Go and do likewise. So they all come to the masters, all of them that show up, the illuminated ones, the luminari, and they say, well, what must we do? What must we do? Tell us what to do in order to self-realize, to self-actualize. What must we do? And then when they're told, they go away with their tails between their legs and think, oh, I don't think so. It's not for me. Like the rich young man who came and asked, well, what must I do, Master, to gain eternal life? Go sell all you have and give it away. I don't think so. But Jesus wasn't talking about selling stuff and things. He was talking about go get rid of all your toxicity and all of your negativity and then come back and let's see where we can go from there. It's not the stuff and things, it's the how we use the stuff and things that gets us. All right then, well, how are we ever going to do this? And again, all the clues are there, the codes are there, but you and I have to break them and decipher them. First thing, how do I go about this? Very first thing is, be still. Why? Be still so that you can know. Know what? Be still so that you can know I am. I am what? Be still and know that I am God. It's the first step of being able to go and do what was imaged for us to do as images and likeness of divinity. Well, how do I do that? The clues are there. Enter into the closet of your own mind and heart and close the door. And there in secret, the Father and I will come to you. And anything that you should ask, desire, image, imagine, perceive of good will be given to you. What does that entail? It entails when I go into the closet of my mind and heart a deep and profound listening. Why? Because I have to listen for the knock. Anyone who hears me knocking on the door of mind and heart and opens, I will come in and I will sup and eat with him. So I have to listen in the quietness, the silence, the secret sense of being in my own mind and heart for the knock, the impulse, the beckoning, the call, the impulse. And then if I hear it and respond to it and open myself in receptivity to it, I will be responded to from that greatness and that goodness that is always available to me. And then I will hear and I will see that which is beyond any speech, any book, anything seen. I will see the unseen. I will hear that which is not heard. I will perceive that which is an interior perception. Once I do that, and once that's accomplished, then I can go and do likewise. But that's all based on only believe, have faith, and fear not. Fear not. Believe. Have faith. I can't enter into that interior state of being unless I believe, unless I have faith, and unless I am fearless. What do I need to be fearless about? Oh, my dear ones, you've no idea, neither have I, what is asked of those who say yes to the divine in total surrender. That's why so many of the great ones said, oh no, not me, why did you pick me? I don't want to do it, get someone else. I love those saints. Those are my favorite ones. They really are, like Augustine, like Catherine of Siena, like the great Teresa of Avila. Go find someone else. Like the great prophets who said, no, not me, Lord. And they went on with, I'm not this and I'm not that and I'm not the other. Same old CRAP that you and I go on with too. And yet, they're the chosen ones. They listened and then they said, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? And wanted to back out of it because the command is, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, pray for those who persecute you and despitefully use you. And they knew that no good deed went unpunished. They knew that. And they knew that they had to be ready for all of the slings and arrows and misfortunes and misunderstandings and accusations that were going to come their way from those who felt that they were a threat to their complacency and laziness, etc. That is why so many of us refuse the invitation. As it comes, and as it comes. The scriptures are full of these code messages for us. When Jesus tells the story, the parable, the illustration of everybody who's invited to the marriage feast, the Lord goes out and he's generous enough to invite every Tom, Dick, Sheila, Mary, and Penelope to the great feast. And you think everybody, this would be the event of all, the decade. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I cannot come. You say, I've just married a wife. No, I cannot come. I just bought a cow. No, I can't come. I have to attend to the blood. No, I cannot come. That was the answer for most people. No, I cannot come. And it's your answer and mine too, to much of what is given to us, the invitations that come to us. We say, not just now, not yet. Can't do it yet. Not yet. Maybe later. So you and I are called into remembrance of why we are here, who we are, and what we are. We're here on purpose. And our purpose comes out of knowing who and what we are. And our purpose is to God realize, to understand the only one significant thing that you and I have to understand. God is one. God is one thing, one life happening in everything. And if you and I don't recognize it, we're not on our purpose, we're not awake, we're not alert, we've fallen into spiritual amnesia, and we need to wake up and remember. This is tough stuff. This is black belt spirituality. This is not for spiritual wusses. That's why there are so few of us, religious scientists, because this teaching places squarely on our shoulders responsibility for our own lives and calls us to a very high standard of life and living. And it all has to do with being what we're created to be. Life and light and love and peace and beauty and power and joy and wisdom and knowledge and understanding and compassion above all and kindness above all, which flows out of love, which is above all. Now that's not easy. And we can make endless excuses for ourselves as we go through every day that we squander in that way, and ignore the truth of ourselves because we're so caught up in the littleness of ourselves, in the smallness of ourselves, in the egoic expression of ourselves, and never touching that experience of ourselves as unified beingness. The glory of God, fully alive, as Saint Irenaeus said way back in the 2nd century. That's what you're called to be. The glory of God fully alive. And this weekend smacks of spiritual opportunity, calling us to wake up out of our slumber, as all of the great books say. Wake up, wake up. Wake up. One great Advent song says, wake up, the night is dying, and light is about to dawn. Be part of the light dawning. Wake up. Oh my goodness me. Your life, my life would be so transformed into this dynamic ball of passionate, fiery life and living if we could know this much of who we are and what we are and whose we are. Instead of all the time claiming only our humanity and all of its faults and failings, God bless it, beautiful that it is, and denying the divinity aspect of our being, the eternal aspect of our being, the continuum of our being, the life eternalness of our being, for a mess of pottage in the moment. We give up our birthright for a mess of pottage or porridge. You know? My kingdom for a bowl of porridge. That's what the brother was saying to the other brother. Cheap at the price. Why would we continue to cheapen our value of ourselves? That's a good question to ask ourselves. And so coming out of the question of, all right, I am made in the image and likeness of my Creator, I realized that my prayer had to be along the lines of that beautiful piece from the scriptures that reminds us that the divine is the potter and we're the clay. So I realize more and more that prayer must be, Abba, Father, beloved presence, take this clay of me and keep remolding it and remolding it and remolding it until it is what it is in the mind of the potter, as the potter forms the clay. And so there's a lot of remolding that is necessary for us all in our lives every day. We have to renew ourselves every day if we really want to take our spiritual unfoldment seriously. And guess what? We can. And guess what? It's not supposed to be morbid. It's not supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be difficult. It's not supposed to cause me to be less than insofar as I have to give up this and that and the other. No. We're told God loves a cheerful giver, and in all things be glad and rejoice, and in all things give thanks. So it must be possible, if those are the instructions, to self-realize, self-actualize, God-realize, with grace and ease and peace and joy, in light and laughter, in wellness and wholeness and loving relationships and creatively expressing. Of course it is. Because once you and I are connected consciously with our source, our souls will sing out, always in rejoicing, always in gladness, always in love, and always in light. And the way will be made forward for us and straight for us and clear for us by that which goes before us, the illumination of the guidance of the infinite wisdom of Spirit itself, making the path available to us, even where there are no paths, so that you and I can step onto the path and move from good to good to good to good. Gifted, given to, supported, knowing that in the connection with our source, there is only fullness to be realized. That's our only experience. And that then, with the mind that was in the Christed ones, we can indeed accomplish what appears to be, to the human mind, impossible. Because in spirit, we're above and beyond impossibility. In spirit, we're above and beyond duality. In spirit, the way is clear and made straight, and the journey is effortless and easy. And we can walk our path of life as we walk it alone together. It's very important for us to understand we walk the path of life alone together. And it's when we're in the aloneness that we can enter into the inner sanctum, the upper room, the closet of consciousness and the closet of heart. Listen intently and hear. Open the door and allow in all of that beauty and grace, merging with it, becoming one with it in that mystical marriage that the saints speak about, wherein we never know where God begins and we end, or we end and God begins. It's just all one experience. That's what we are born with, the capability of entering into, realizing and experiencing it. That's how great you are. That's how potent and powerful you are. That is how much you have been given. You have been given the keys to the kingdom of your good. But it's up to you to take them and open the treasure chest of all that the Father has, because it is written, all that the Father has is mine. And it's mine for the availability, it's mine for the taking, and it's mine for the giving, and mine for the sharing. And I leave you with this beautiful phrase which I read in one of Neville's books, which I can't remember which one anymore. And it read, "She entered in to the closet of her mind and heart, and on the wings of controlled imagination she flew into her own predicted experience of good. And you can do it too, and so can I, and so it is.